All right, YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to a brand new Pokemon investing and collecting video. And today we are going over 25 special illustration rares that are dipping in price over the last 3 months. Now, special illustration rares are some of the hardest cards to actually pull from booster packs in Pokemon collecting. These cards are always some of the higher value cards, bar a couple of illustration rares. But one thing that I've noticed as I've been keeping an eye on different pricing is that a lot of these cards are now starting to go down in value. And the interesting thing is some people pick these up at ridiculous prices. Some people sell them at ridiculous prices. And I'm just going to take a look today at 25 of these cards that are now dropping down because they may be on some of your radar for you to pick up right now or in the near future. Now, before we get into the 25 cards, I just want to start off by saying thank you guys for the support. The winner of the ETB giveaway for our 3K celebration is right here on the screen. Congratulations. Feel free to contact me through Instagram, or if you get a chance to comment on this video as well, make sure you leave a comment down below. I will try to reply to that, but if I don't get back to you, make sure to reach out on Instagram. Now, another quick announcement is that I have got our official Discord server up and running. So if you guys are looking to join that, the link will be down in the description below. This is where we're going to be hosting a whole bunch of other giveaways, a lot of announcements, video posts, and so much more will be going into that area right there. So if you have Discord and you want a fun place to hang out, chat everything Pokemon, where you can show off your collection and also get up to date with everything on the channel, then you guys need to jump in the Discord down below. Now, let's get into the cards. I've rambled enough. We've got 25 on the list, so this could potentially be a very long video. Now, starting off with a couple of special illustration rares that I personally really like and I think are undervalued because of how nice they are. These are two cards that I've seen in person and I've actually pulled one of them myself, but I don't know why they aren't worth more. The first one is the Koraidon EX from Scarlet Violet base. And yes, we're going to start at the beginning and work our way through to the newer sets. However, the Koraidon and also the Miraidon are two special illustration rares that I think are gorgeous and worth more than they actually are at the moment. So currently, the Koraidon is down 17%. It's sitting at $15 US. This one is really cool. This is the one of the two that I've actually pulled myself. And the Miraidon is down 19.85% at the $18 mark. And for the artwork on these two cards, I just feel like this is probably a good purchasing price at around $15 to $18 each on these two. And who knows, if you're buying both of them, maybe you can work a deal if you're at a card show or something like that and get them even cheaper. So I actually have a buyer POV coming very soon. I'm going to a card show tomorrow, so I'll be recording all of that footage there. So if you want to see how you can negotiate at card shows, hopefully I'll have some great footage to show you guys as well, if all things go to plan. Next on the list is the Miriam from Scarlet Violet base. This one's actually down to 37%. And this is where we start to see some bigger drops from some of these bigger cards. The Miriam was always like a really popular one, but now it's as cheap as $22.60. So you can see this one's just been steadily declining for the last 3 months. In Feb, it was like $36. And considering this was a card that a year ago, when you jump into that chart, within the last sort of 6 months, it did hit a peak at $41. So it's kind of gone up and down over the last year. But in the last 3 months, it has been more down. So I feel like if you pick up this card at around the $20 mark, you're doing all right when it comes to things going back up again in the future. Next up is the Gardevoir EX from Scarlet Violet base. This one's not down a huge amount, and it's actually been pretty consistent. Although if you pull it into the 1 year chart, it did get a ton of increase from where it was previously. So it's nowhere close to what its original price was. However, I do think when it was back here at like $25, it was severely undervalued. However, now it's sort of stabled out at around the $50 mark. It's only down 5%, but I wanted to put it on this list because I think this is a $80 to $100 card. I think it's gorgeous. And I think once it becomes even harder to find Scarlet Violet base, I think the value of this card is going to really start to shine and it's going to go up in person. And another one that I've actually pulled myself twice in this card, and it's really gorgeous. I traded one and I've still got one in my PC. But I think this is a card, yeah, like I said, with the Ralts and the Curlier and this, they're going to go up in the future. So not a bad price to be picking it up at right now for $50. It may go a little bit cheaper. It may just stay. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Next up, the Pidgeot EX from Obsidian Flames, down 15% right now, which isn't a huge amount, but my point with this one is how ridiculously cheap this is. This card is like $12 right now. $12. That's it. That's so cheap, especially for one of the cards that is extremely difficult to pull. I mean, Obsidian Flames had pretty good hit rates, but still a special illustration rare for $12. You can't really go wrong there. The Pidgeot, that's not my favorite artwork. I will, like, when you compare this to the Charizard that we'll see in a second, I would much rather have the Charizard. But again, this is a $12 card. So, you know, if you're looking at collecting all the special illustration rares, or you're looking at doing master sets, like, this is such a cheap price for one of the more difficult cards to pull in Obsidian Flames. Now, the big boy, Charizard, down 24% right now. This is sitting at 56 bucks. That is so cheap. So cheap to the point where I'm going to be keeping my eye out this weekend for this particular card to see if I can pick it up at a really good price at the card show that I'm going to. However, I have seen that there has been an influx of purchases recently. So between April 29th and May 1st, 86 items were sold, whereas the last sort of periods were 24, 26, 22, 30, 38. So much less. So there has been a spike in purchases as of late. Whether that's a reflection of the pricing right now, I do think this card is going to go back up. I think people are sleeping on this, and Obsidian Flame Sealed is still going up. So I think this card will start to go up alongside that. And honestly, it's a gorgeous artwork. I think 55 bucks, 56 bucks is such a good price. If you can get it at that, I think you'll be laughing in the future. Next up, jumping into 151 is Giovanni's Charisma. This card obviously skyrocketed due to the Glory of Team Rocket set and all of the hype surrounding that. Since then, it's pretty much just gone downhill. So I think now that there are new Giovanni cards out from the Glory of Team Rocket set in Japan, we're going to get Destined Rivals coming soon as well. There are multiple Giovanni cards in there, including one with Persian. So I think that's going to reflect in the pricing right here. This one may just continue to go down, or it may stagnate, but the last month or two, it's pretty much just been on a decline. It was sitting at like 35 bucks a couple of months ago. So it's really interesting to look at. Yeah, $36 was the high back at the end of January. And now it's sitting super cheap at the $14 mark. It's crazy to see the movement. And that just shows how volatile this market is right now. It's hard to know whether or not, you know, things are going to stay where they are in value. Things are going to go up. They're going to go down. But in saying that, you know, a card is worth what you're willing to pay for it. So for me, I think paying $15 for this card, worth it. Did I think paying $36 for this card was worth it? Absolutely not. So a lot of it is about timing, and it's not necessarily about making the most amount of money on your purchases, but it's maybe one thing where how much you're willing to spend on a certain card comes into play. And that's something that I'm very cautious of when I'm purchasing as well. Alakazam down 19%. There is quite a few from 151 on this list just because there's so many special illustration rares. But yeah, down 20% or just under 20%. It's $40 right now. This is a cool card. I pulled this in English as well, but I do think the Japanese version looks better, as do most Japanese cards. But still, very affordable at 40 bucks. Zapdos, highly underrated. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel, how I feel about this card. I think this card is a $100 card. Like, quote me on that and come back to me in like 2 years. I think the Zapdos is a $100 plus card, potentially even more. This is the most gorgeous artwork in all of 151. Forget the Charizard, forget the Blastoise, the Venusaur. No, this is the best card in 151. You can't change my opinion on that. I think this is the best looking card, and it's only 50 bucks. That's ridiculous. It's only 50 bucks. So down 20% right now. Obviously, it looks like it did plateau a little bit here, but it's hard to say where it's going to go from there. I would be more than happy to pay 50 bucks for this. I already have one. I was lucky to pull it out of a pack, but I would pay $50 to get another one of these. So something worth considering. And again, this is my opinion. I don't 100% know what these cards are going to do. It's not financial advice or by any means. I just think the artwork alone makes this more than a $50 card. And if you can't see that, our opinions are different. but I think this is worth way more. Venusaur. See, like even switching over to Venusaur, I don't think this is as nice a card as the Zapdos card, but in saying that, it is part of the big three, like the original full evolutions of the starters. $63 for this. I actually managed to pull this out of a pack recently as well. So 63 bucks, it's down 21% right now. So you can kind of start to see how like now is comparing to the beginning of the year, like January, February, when everything was sort of peak hype for like prismatic and so many more people were coming back into the hobby. You had 151 blowing up again. You had a whole bunch of people searching for these products and buying these things. All of these prices were so inflated that things are starting to level out now. But from an investment standpoint, if you're going to be sitting on some of this stuff long term, like everyone always says like 3 to 5 years is what you should be sitting on things like this. I believe that in 3 to 5 years, these cards are going to be worth well more than they are right now. Even if you bought in January or February of this year and you paid, what was the high here, $87 for the Venusaur, I think in a couple of years time it's going to eclipse that anyway. So I don't think you need to stress too much, and that's just how good 151 is. Blastoise EX, this one, weirdly enough, so close in pricing to the Venusaur. I thought this was going to be much higher, but this one's down 10%. We have seen an influx of sales here, so I do expect maybe some correction for it to go back up in value a little bit. It was selling pretty consistently on like 30 items sold, 20 to 30 items sold through March. And then there was a price decrease, but it kept selling sort of 30 items. There was a few days there where there were low sales. So I think I saw like one had, what's this one here, 15 items sold. But then the following day it had 45 items sold. So I can expect this to kind of correct back upwards a little bit and maybe go up. So if you can pick it up at $70, I feel like that's a pretty good price. And you're going to see it sort of even itself back out in the near future and go back up. Charizard, the big boy. I've pulled 2 of these now, which is, well, my partner pulled one and I pulled one. But still, a sick card nonetheless. $208 right now, 17.6% down. The high in the last 3 months was $292. So you're already like 80 bucks cheaper, 90 bucks cheaper roughly than what it was back in the end of March. What are we now? The start of May. So in basically just over a month, this card has dropped $90. And if that isn't a sign to consider buying this card pretty soon, I don't know what to tell you. I just think if you're looking to add stuff to your collection, it's starting to become a very good time. The next few months being summer in the US could also see some sort of drops, but I don't think anything is guaranteed. And I think Charizard is always going to be a $200 card. I don't think we see it drop too much lower than the $200 mark. 1, it's Charizard. 2, it's from 151. 3, the artwork is pretty cool. And 4, it's a hard card to get. So I think one of these is definitely going to make its way into a lot of people's collection in the near future, especially around the $200 mark. Moving on to Paradox Rift, so finally getting away from 151. Garchomp EX, this one's down 36 bucks, right? Or sorry, 36% right now at $31. It's a cool artwork. It's not my favorite artwork, but I do like the design of it. And if I was going to get a Garchomp card from Scarlet and Violet, obviously this is going to be the main one you'd be looking at. However, I don't think it compares to Garchomp cards like the Cynthia's Garchomp, like the Trainer Gallery one from Astral Radiance. I still think that is the best looking Garchomp card in like the more modern sort of sets. But this is still a cool one nonetheless. Getting into Paldean Fates, we have the 3 big hitters on this list because they are all down right now, which is really interesting. The Gardevoir EX sitting at 80 bucks. It's down 12%. The Charizard EX, which is my personal favorite out of the 3. One that I don't have yet, but might pick up soon. At $182, this one's down 17%. You can just see how consistently down this has been going over the last few months. And then the Bubble Mew, which I do have in my PC. It's away at grading right now. But you can see that it's down to 321, so down 23%. It was 414 at the beginning of, what's that, Feb? Yeah, beginning of Feb, this card was $414. It's now $321. So it's nearly $100 cheaper. And again, if you go back and look at the 6-month chart, you look at where it peaked, that was exactly where it peaked. In January, sitting at $420 odd, and it's now down to $321. So I think now you can see with the Bubble Mew, it's kind of leveling out a little bit. Not so much in the 3-month chart, but when you look at the longer stuff in the 6-month, it looks like it could potentially be leveling out. But again, such a sick card. One of the top cards from Scarlet Violet for sure. And it's at a pretty good price point right now. Greninja EX, the big banger from Twilight Masquerade. It's only down 4%. I don't see this card dropping a whole lot. Honestly, I think it's the one card in Twilight Masquerade that stands above everything else. Like, yes, the Eevee is cool, the Perrin's cool, but like, this is just that next step up. And I think this is, when we look back at the Scarlet Violet era, this is one of those big cards that is going to be like a grail of the SV era. And if you don't get it, I imagine this is probably just going to go back up. I don't think Greninja will drop too much. Maybe around the $300 mark, but I don't see it going much lower than that. Terapagos from Stellar Crown, probably one of the worst special illustration res. Probably the worst one on this list, honestly. I do not like this card. I don't. I will not buy this card. $50 price, like $49 right now. It's down 41%. And there's a reason that it's down so much compared to some of these other ones on the list. It's because it's not a nice card. I mean, that's my opinion. Some people might think differently, but the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur in the illustration rares in this set are so much nicer than this Terapagos. I just have never liked this card. And every time I open Stellar Crown, I am much preferring to get one of those illustration rares than to get this out of that set. So I don't know what this is going to do. I feel like it might just keep going down, but yeah, just not a card I'm into, and I'm not paying $50 for this. There's so many other cooler cards that I could pay $50 for than this one. Surging Sparks, the Latias EX, down 23% right now, but still like pretty consistent on the amount of sales. It's sitting at $190. It's a decent drop from where it was at $253 back in Feb, or end of Feb. I think this one is one where I wouldn't expect to see it drop too much more as well, because Latias, Latios, the birds tend to historically be worth quite a lot in the future when they're out of print. Like, you look back at some of the EX cards and some of that, like, less, not modern. If you go back past the modern era, you look at that mid-era, even some of the vintage stuff, like Latias is always two Pokemon that historically are valuable. They're kind of your key Pokemon, you know, in terms of rarity. They're legendary. They're, you know, exciting Pokemon that people really like and adore. They're going to be worth more in the future, no doubt. So this Latias card and the Latios that goes with it, I think are really good pickups, even right now at the current pricing. Even back here at like $250, I still would have said that this is a pretty decent pickup if you're holding long term. You know, if you're looking at grading plays and looking at waiting a couple of years to see what these do, I think that's going to be really good for this card as well, and one that'll go up. This is probably dropping right now because of the Surging Sparks reprints as well. So I don't think I'm too worried about purchasing this card at the price it is now, even though it's dropping. I don't think it'll be dropping for too much longer. Once we get past all that Surging Sparks reprint, this is just going to shoot right back on up. Same with the Pikachu, down 37%. Again, probably bulk of that drop is from the Surging Sparks reprints that are coming. There's been a stack of people like buying these. Well, I say a stack, but way more than usual buying these now that they're at this lower price of $290. A 37% decrease is pretty significant. And I know people are going to try and pull this from the reprint, but once we get past that stage, I think you need to just look at potentially buying the single at that point if you don't manage to get it from any of the packs. Now, the last 5 on this list are all from Journey Together. I didn't include Prismatic because everything's just going to keep going up, but this is from Journey Together. So we're pretty much just going to do this and rattle them off real quick. Volcanion down 35%. Obviously, everything pre-release is always inflated and high. This is down to $42 right now. Hops Zacian, $66 now, down 62%, which is a crazy drop from pre-release. And Zoroark, $97, down 57% as well. Huge drops on these Journey Together. 57% decrease for Salamence, down to 105. This is my favorite card in the set. I think this is a gorgeous card, but again, the value was not up at $241 like everyone sort of said it was pre-release. $100 seems like a fair price for this. And then Lily's Clefairy, to be honest, I can see this sticking around the price that it is now. It's down like 43%, but that's because pre-release price was like $330, which is super inflated. But $180 card for this, yeah, I could potentially see that. I can see that being the case for this card ongoing, so I don't think it's going to get too much cheaper. But, you know, you never really know. People have mixed opinions on Journey Together, so whether it's going to be a beloved set in the future, not too sure. But with that said, this was 25 cards that were special illustration rares that are dipping in price. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did and you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next video.